Very uncool.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash, Brent.
Team Dissension right here.
We're here.
Team Dissension. We're here.
Could be a good
we're
show.
Like the 86 Mets. Like we're at each other's throats, but we just keep winning, as opposed to the Astros.
Except neither one of us is forcing each other to do cocaine at the back of a plane.
Right. The Astros, absolutely in lockstep, just mediocre.
Yeah, losing again last night, 6-3 to the Twins.
Folks, welcome into the Atzenoffer studio, where for over 100 years, Atzenoffer has been Victoria's dealership, a South Texas tradition for now 100 years. The Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. Oh, for everything you need, there is Deerland Feed. It's 74 degrees and cloudy, just cloudy now because it rained earlier. Heading to a high today of 89. We have a busy show. We're going to be joined by Attorney General candidate and current state senator Mays Middleton. We're going to dig through MAGA Mays Middleton, Chip Roy, Mays Middleton, neither one endorsed by the president. Very interesting how we
does that really matter, though?
No, it doesn't. But, I mean, it seems like the Donald endorses everybody, every role. He's now trying to get Thomas Massie out of the Senate. I don't think that's going to work.
Well, see, and I have a problem with that a little bit. I mean, and you and I have been critical of Republicans not walking lockstep and doing what's right for the party or the right.
Right. Or we at least acknowledge that the Democrats can be dead wrong, but they do a better job than anybody of being united.
And I think that's where Donald Trump is right now. And I don't agree with it. He's now going after Lowen Boebert in Colorado because she's backed Thomas Massie. And I don't think it's good. I think what's going to happen, because the Dems won't do this because they're too afraid. I think you're getting up with another Tea Party-like situation.
Yeah.
And I think you're going to split the Republicans.
Be small. This is another amazingly comfortable Burlebo, Burlebo. The other one had blue in it. This is just a different shade of camo.
Yeah, he just has all camo.
Yeah, just a camo guy. Yeah, I do find it interesting that Donald Trump will go after these people. Of course, you know, Thomas Massie being one of the 7 senators who went after Donald after January the 6th. So
Andrew Alvarez says the Thomas Massie race now the highest spending congressional primary ever on record.
Yeah.
And there's part of the problem too, I think, is the spending on some of these races. How do you get that under control? I think the PACs, they try to do it when they allowed PACs to be formed and all that, right? But there's Mays Middleton in the green room. He'll be joining us shortly. So
he looks much more mature than most of our guests who usually are in the green room sipping a Bloody Mary this time of day.
Well, you have to sometimes to be on this show, just to take this show.
Already been on the Bill Posey show. That tells me that he's fielded a bunch of softballs. You know, we're going to go at him hard, even though we have something in common, Mr. Middleton and I, both being Texas grads.
So we teased this last week and we didn't really get to it, but Al Gore's latest climate scare is that we're heading to an ice age in 25 years, and he somehow says global warming's to blame, which make sense.
Well, because Al Gore is a idiot who has profited for decades off fear. The left is the party of fear. So if they can't, when they have a guy like Donald Trump who says, here's what I'm going to do, and he does it, the left can't get their head around that. So Al Gore wants you afraid of the future, and it's the immediate future, right? This is going to affect your kids. In 25 years, we're going to have another ice age.
Well, and it's all to enact policy and taxes that affect your life now that 25 years later, when you look back, haven't really done anything to address the fear they claimed would be impacted or would be negated by the action the government has taken, right? It never plays out. Think about in our lifetimes, we were supposed to by now have
Manhattan under ice.
under ice and water.
Yes.
We were supposed to have an ice age. We were supposed to have the world burning up. Australia was going to be nothing but a barren desert.
Well,
South
it kind of
Tex-
is.
It kind of is. South Texas was supposed to be just lush and green, as the north was going to be buried by snow and everything else moved south for growing and wheat and all that stuff. I mean, it was just bizarre. But these are the things that we were supposed to already experience within, and it's always within 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 years. And Al Gore now saying 25 years. Nothing ever comes of it. And when you look back, you go, wait a second. It took thousands, if not millions of years for the last ice age to actually occur.
And that was because the dinosaurs were standing around smoking cigarettes.
And farting.
I've always taken that there is global warming and there is climate change. How much of it is honestly affected by man and how much we can realistically expect to eliminate is just very up in the air. Al Gore wrote a book years ago called An Inconvenient Truth,
which was just a bunch of lies.
Right. And it's been proven recently to be implausible. I guard myself and I give you like a little asterisk right here. I've always felt like the fear of climate change was a man-made hoax. But just because somebody came along, this Wrightstone, who is a scientist and a geologist, just because he came along and spoke to my assumptions doesn't mean that I'm right. It just let me know that his comments were that the hysteria over climate change, that all these things have been shown by a group of scientists other than himself to be implausible, that these things are not going to happen. So that's what we're talking about. Look, I'm jumpy here. I want to get to our guest because I think our listeners have a deep interest. Ash and I have long held that Ken Paxton, for whatever issues you may assign to Ken Paxton, is he smarmy? Does he have bad things in his closet? I don't know. The thing I know about Ken Paxton is when we needed him, he was dang good for Texas. He held the Biden administration at bay. He did the bidding, make no mistake, the direct bidding of the governor of the state of Texas on many, many issues. And our guest today is a sitting Texas state senator who was right in the middle of all those things.
Just up the road, Senate District 11, I think, right?
Yeah.
Brazoria,
Galveston, Brazoria. He would call it God's country. I call it everything south of Houston. But we're going to get to visit with Mayes Middleton. And I think Ash is going to we're going to dub him onto the screen for you folks and thank him in advance as he's getting added to the screen. I know that this time of year, I know that he's very busy. And Mr. Mayes Middleton, thank you, sir, for joining us. Can you hear us?
I sure can. Appreciate you having me on this morning.
Thank
Absolutely.
You. Welcome to the Wade and Carter show. We appreciate you.
We're going to give you the first question that we give everybody. We have told folks that you're running for attorney general. You're in I think, heated, you're in a multiple mail out race against Congressman Chip Roy. So our first question to every candidate is typically, why you, why this office, and why now?
Look, this is a calling, not a job for me. I don't take anything from it. I don't take the salary, the pension, the health care, the state license plates, which do get you out of traffic tickets, by the way, they can. I don't take the lobbyist NFL tickets or lobbyist ski trips. I am only here to serve and fight for the conservative values that we believe in. And the number one most important thing, the number one thing in this job is defeating the left, right? Because they're trying to destroy Texas. And I am never retreating from Washington, D.C., because I'm never going to Washington, D.C. I have always known that the fight is right here in the great state of Texas. And look, I'm proud to have been endorsed by Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick. I'm also proud that Ken Paxton said he's voting for me in this runoff. And he said he can't imagine Chip Roy in this job. And the reason that he actually said that is because of how it ended at the AG's office for my opponent, right? So 2016, it's the last time Chip Roy worked in the AG's office. How did it end? He was told resign or be fired because of gross insubordination. Now, I don't know about you, but when you tell someone resign or be fired, you don't let them back in the building. But the thing that really matters the most here, the number one thing, and you touched on it earlier, about General Paxton fighting the left, is this is a show me, don't tell me business, right? We are tired of politicians telling us what they're going to do, right? They got to show us the results. And I can show you those results. I took on the woke left and their radical gender ideology and won, authored and passed the Save Women's Sports Law, also the strongest women's privacy law in America, which kicks perverted men out of women's restrooms and locker rooms. I also took on the atheists and defeated them and got prayer and the 10 Commandments back into our schools. Also taken on our foreign adversaries in Austin and stopped China from buying our land. But not only that, stopped these radical Muslim groups like CARE and Muslim Brotherhood from buying any property in Texas. Also designated cartels as terrorists, tripled border security, and fighting to stop all taxpayer-funded benefits from going to illegals. Right, we've suffered the consequences of that from 4 years of an open border with Joe Biden. It is up to us to clean this up and keep our communities and our families safe. We're also fighting one of our most growing threats, which is Sharia law and Islamification. And I'll tell you, Sharia law is organized crime, period. The end.
Amen.
And look,
So,
because of this record here.
But I was going to tell you, I like all that stuff immensely. By the way, everything you mentioned, no Chinese buying our land, get rid of all the Muslim infiltration, no men and women's sports. And to me, that is yeoman's work as a state senator. Like, I would vote for you if I lived in your district 1,000 times over. So how do we combat the folks who say Mays Middleton, rich kid, oil company executive, went to UT Law, never been in a courtroom? How do we refute that stigma, if you will, that makes you the right guy to be Attorney General of the great state of Texas?
Well, it's a good question. Look, and I practice law every single day for 7 years. I've been fighting the left, fighting Democrat attorneys on the House floor, fighting Democrat attorneys on the Senate floor. Who better to enforce these laws that I just talked about as Attorney General than someone that was on the ground floor fighting the left and defeating them and getting these over the finish line? And, you know, going back, this is a leadership role, right? It is a 4,000 employee agency. It is 750 attorneys. It is an executive level position. And I'm the only one in this race that has experience signing the front of a paycheck and knowing where the buck stops. Look, the left cannot get to me. I can't be bought or rented. The Austin swamp cannot get to me. And this is about defending and protecting our God-granted freedoms. And going back to 2013, think back to 2013. Why did we support Ken Paxton for Attorney General? It wasn't because he was a civil attorney like me, right? He was a lawyer. He was a corporate attorney, Gibson and Dunn, various other firms. That's not why. The reason why we supported him was because he had that proven conservative record, and he was the top 1 or 2 most conservative state senators. He knew how to get the job done and was in the toughest of fights, just like me. I'm in the Texas Senate now. Top 1 or 2 most conservative members. It's about defeating the left and those proven results.
It's a wonderful answer. We're visiting with MAGA Mays Middleton, state senator and current Attorney General candidate running in a runoff against his opponent. Sir, as you go forward, we think about, I'll be honest with you, we had a really good, extensive visit, both on the air here and then in person at President Trump's rally in Corpus with Aaron Reitz. Does a guy like Aaron Reitz fit into your administration?
Well, look here, Aaron Wrights, I'll point out, has endorsed me. Aaron Wrights has endorsed me in this race, and he was a former primary opponent, right? He ran a good race. He didn't make it in the runoff. I did. Came in a decisive first place, by the way. 39% on March the 3rd. We got to do it again, though, here on May the 26th here in a little bit. But Aaron said this. He said the reason why he's endorsed me in this race, the reason why he's supporting me is my opponent has spent a decade fighting President Trump, undermining him, working for some of the most radical anti-Trump groups that spent millions trying to defeat President Trump in his election. You know, Chip Roy even said that President Trump committed impeachable conduct, that he stood with Liz Cheney against the president. And not only that, the 2020 election was stolen. We know this. What was Chip Roy doing about that? He was fighting to certify a stolen election, and now he wants to run the election integrity division in the Attorney General's office. I don't think so. So Aaron Wright said the top reason he's endorsing me in this race is he knows I will back up President Trump with every resource and tool in the AG's office. I'm 100% MAGA, and not only that, we'll fight for Texas and fight to defeat the left. So I'm proud to have Aaron's endorsement here in this race.
So in 2 years, President Trump will be gone.
Maybe you can't. Prove it.
But how does that impact the role of Texas Attorney General, or how does that relationship with Trump impact the role of Texas Attorney General?
Look, I'm not going to concede that we're going to lose the 2028 election. We're going to defeat the Democrats.
No, but Donald Trump
suffered under 4 years of Joe Biden.
Yeah, but Donald Trump won't be president after 28. But how does a relationship with Donald Trump impact the role of Texas Attorney General?
It's huge. It is huge. Look at what they're doing in Minnesota and Minneapolis right now, right? They're blocking ICE. They're blocking President Trump's deportation and border security agenda, right? What will I do if that happens in Texas? And it has started to happen, by the way. Have you seen it? You know, City of Houston was in the news, Dallas, Austin, sanctuary cities, what we call it. So we have a very strong tool for the Attorney General in Texas called the ban on sanctuary cities. And so when anyone is in the way of President Trump's deportation and border security agenda, what will I do? Number one, sue for civil penalties. Number two, criminal penalties. And number three, most importantly, it's the best tool, removal from office. You get in the way of ICE, you get removed from office. Election integrity is another thing that's really important. Just talked about it earlier. One illegal vote cancels out your legal vote. That's why we got to make sure that we're prosecuting all of these election law violations. And that is also why I fought to restore the AG's power to do exactly that. It was taken away from Ken Paxton in 2021. Fought to restore it, got it done in December. That went into effect. Now we got to take step two, which is a standalone task force devoted to investigating and prosecuting those that are breaking our election laws. Also going after organized crime and cartels. You know, I'm grateful to have been endorsed by your former sheriff and current candidate, and also state representative AJ Louderback, and also Lois Kolkhorst, your state senator, and your sheriff, Justin Marr in Victoria County. Grateful to have been endorsed by all three of them. Law and order, tough on crime. That's how we secure our God-granted freedoms. And that includes going after organized crime, whether it's cartels, human traffickers, sex traffickers, drug traffickers, or the Sharia law pushers, because that is organized crime.
Take a moment. We're visiting with Mays Middleton, Republican candidate for Attorney General. Take a minute. And I know that Ken is somebody that I really respect. I like Ken Paxton, but it's fair to say that Ken could be deemed a flawed vessel. He's gotten in his own way a couple of times. Tell us a little bit about the grounding that you have. Tell us about your family and your faith and where you stand just as a gentleman in the state of Texas.
Well, look, Macy and I were blessed to have 4 little ones. And they're my daily reminder of what we're fighting for here. And all authority and government comes from God. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. And I am here and we are here to protect and defend those God granted freedoms. And I do not have the strength in me alone to sustain me in this fight. The only thing that can sustain me in this spiritual battle that we are in, it is a spiritual battle, is my faith. And we need to be bold in saying this as well. We're a Christian nation. We are a Christian state. It is what we're founded on. That's why it says, in God we trust, above the dice in the House and Senate. That's why there's a Bible in every desk in the legislature. That's why there's a Ten Commandments monument on the grounds of the Capitol, right? These are the values that we were founded on, and it actually says it very clearly in the preamble to the Texas Constitution. Humbly invoking the blessings of Almighty God. That's what it says in the preamble. That is a prayer. That's what we're founded on.
Tell the folks, just because I think it was good sportsmanship and it was well played. Tell folks about you distributing 10 Commandments to a school district or an area.
So, this was a tough fight, actually. It shouldn't be a tough fight. The left said that it's harmful to display the 10 Commandments in classrooms. And they have this pastor, and I use air quotes pastor, James Tallarico. He's running for U.S. Senate right now.
He's a clown.
James Tallarico said that it was un-Christian and un-American to display the 10 Commandments in classrooms. So how did I respond to that? I donated 10 Commandments posters to all the schools in his district in his honor.
That's awesome.
We got to bring the fight to the left here.
I don't know how anybody who, even if you're not a Christian, can have issues with the 10 Commandments. As right. But anyway, that's beside the point. Or I guess an addition to the point. How will you continue to go after the fraudsters, such as what's been uncovered in Minnesota, what's been uncovered in California, who's now trying to enact laws that would not allow independent journalists to actually uncover the fraud because they don't want to do it? But how would you as Attorney General go after? Because we know if it's happened in Minnesota, it's happened in California, there's likely Medicare fraud, Medicaid fraud happening in Texas as well.
Absolutely. Look, I'm tired of talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. Yeah, we need to cut it from the budget, of course. But we've got to hold those accountable who have committed the waste and the fraud and the abuse, right? If you can't turn the lights on, the cockroaches won't scatter. Right? These are people stealing tax dollars, and government doesn't have any money. This is all taxpayer money. And, Harris County, I represent part of that in the Texas Senate right now. Waste, fraud, and abuse, it's like a PhD in how to steal tax dollars. We've seen it again and again and again and again. And we've got to make sure those that are doing that are locked up. It is that simple. And USAID, right? We saw that go through the news, but we have something just like it in Texas. It's called taxpayer funded lobbying. And what that is, and it's something I've been fighting since day one in office, is your local tax dollars going to Austin lobbyists that then lobby against your conservative values. $100 million a year against, what are they against? Border security, election integrity, right? Parental rights, even property tax relief and reform. That is one of the toughest fights in Austin. And it is a fight I have taken on since day one. And I want an anti-corruption division in the AG's office to go after the things that I've talked about here today, because we've got to have zero tolerance for this. And not only that, it's funding our opposition. These NGOs, these non-governmental organizations, right? That's how they're cycling tax dollars through it. And so another thing on day one I want to do is investigate George Soros for the crimes that I believe he's committed against our great state. The No Kings rally, right? Who paid for that? Soros did. The riots in 2020, who paid for that? George Soros did. Again and again and again, we keep seeing these strings from these out-of-state and foreign NGOs that are often funded with our tax dollars.
Well, a great friend of the program has been Colonel Alan West, and, his deal, hold Texas and hold the country. It sounds like you're kind of coming at it right out of that playbook, and Alan's been a great friend of the program, as a super individual. But what else? I mean, I'm with you. I like all of your work as a state senator. I don't question your ability to go be attorney general. What other, if your opponent had one issue with you that you'd like to address, what would it be?
Well, so look, here's the difference between the two of us. Protecting Texas kids. That is one of the most important things that you do in government. And here's the distinction, right? I fought to change the law to stop this evil practice of child transgender surgeries. Also, chemical castration. That's what they're doing to kids, sterilizing them. It took us 4 years to do it. It was a Freedom Caucus priority. We got it done in 2023.
Uh-oh.
We got a little snafu on the phone.
He may have froze up on his end of things. So
Yep.
as soon as that comes back,
Hang on. Let's do this.
yeah, let's take a break.
We'll take a break while we try to reestablish that connection. I think we just had a little. There,
it
you're
is, there it
there.
is. Okay.
You're good.
Yeah.
Did
Let's
we cut
see.
out there?
There
Yeah,
you are. You're back.
Yeah, we had a little buffering on your end
Yeah,
there,
but
so we're good.
We're good.
Well, so
Go
look,
ahead. I'll go without a break.
I was talking about how there was a bill before Congress that banned the evil practice of child transgender surgeries and chemical castration. So what did my opponent do when that was coming before the U.S. House? He tried to offer an amendment that would have allowed these surgeries to continue in California, New York. It would have rewarded Gavin Newsom. It would have rewarded the transgender lobby, all in the name of states' rights and the Commerce Clause. There is no right to harm a child. And we've got to make sure that we end all evil, not just taxpayer-funded evil. And so going back, look at this race, right? There's a reason why I'm the only one in this race that's been protested at the Texas Capitol during this campaign. They called me the bathroom bigot because I don't want men in my little girl's restroom or locker room or shower. There's also a reason why the two Democrats in this race, Joe Jaworski and Nathan Johnson, they had a big debate. And they said the guy we got to stop, the guy we can't allow to get elected is this MAGA Maze guy. Right? There's also a reason why I've been threatened during this campaign and my family has as well. So the reason why I've been protested, the reason why the two Democrats in this race are saying I'm the one to stop, the reason why they've threatened me and my family is the left knows who their true enemy is in this race. And it's me.
You talked about stopping taxpayer-funded lobbying. Would that be for everybody, no matter what side of the aisle you're on?
That's right. But it's how the left uses our tax dollars to win without winning elections, right? They use it to block our conservative priorities. And that's something we saw, of course, with USAID in DC, something we saw again and again with waste, fraud, and abuse with these NGOs, where they're weaponizing our tax dollars against us. That's what the left knows how to do, and that's what I'm fighting to stop.
I saw a headline this morning that current Attorney General Ken Paxton has opened an investigation of the Southern Poverty Law Center based on the allegations that it had funded extremist groups it claimed to be fighting against. What's your stance on the Southern Poverty Law Center and these alleged actions?
That's a criminal cartel enterprise.
Buffered again.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Give it a second here. Bear with us, folks. Technology is great when it works.
Yeah, we're visiting with Mays Middleton, Republican candidate for Attorney General, and we're waiting for his internet to catch up, and he's right there. Let's see.
There he is.
There he
All
is.
right.
What's going on is the weather is real bad down here, and we've got storms rolling in, and the internet doesn't always work too great when that happens. So
Yeah, we were lucky. That stuff blew through at like 2 this morning.
It came through
so-
here. We had an
yeah.
amazing lightning and thunder display. I've got a Brittany Spaniel curled up on my sofa that was not happy. You were
But
talking
look,
about
the Southern Poverty Law Center is a criminal enterprise. And we made sure also this session, and I fought for this, to change the law to stop enemy entities from buying Texas property. That's not just enemy countries. We're talking about enemy entities like CARE, Muslim Brotherhood. And the AG's office has express authority to investigate nonprofits. Of course, Southern Poverty Law Center is one of them. CARE is one of them. Muslim Brotherhood is another. There are many, many more. And with the product of that investigation, What will I do? I will add to that list of enemy entities, which prohibits them from buying any real property in Texas, owning any dirt, any minerals, any critical infrastructure, nothing. They're not allowed to own 1 square inch of our state under the laws that I fought for and changed in 2025, and I will enforce them as Attorney General.
What do you, I mean, I'm spitballing here. When we talk about the hot news items of the day, one has been data centers. The other has been the water shortage that I think is a statewide issue. Does the AG play any role in that? Is there anything you can do? Can you fix the water problem, Mays?
Well, we passed a statewide water plan this last time. We got to get it fully implemented because we got to make sure that we provide, for our communities and what they need, not just to grow, but for homeowners, business owners, farmers. Look, I know how important that is. I remember the drought, that we had about a decade ago in the Brazos River Basin where it wiped out all the rice farming. And I mean, y'all have seen that in the Victoria area where farming has gone down because, you got to have certainty in this. And it's hurt Texas. It's hurt our communities. We're the breadbasket. Food and fiber is how we survive. It's what we're founded on. It's actually why my family came here in the 1820s from Louisiana to run cattle. And then, of course, rice farming came later, around 1900. But something that is a huge priority of mine is stopping our enemy countries from owning any critical infrastructure. You saw it in the news not that long ago where it was investigated and Ken Paxton discovered that China actually owned components to some of these solar farms and power connections, with some of the infrastructure associated with the solar farms, whether it's the transmission lines or other associated facilities. That's against the law in Texas. And I will make sure that our laws are enforced. We cannot allow these enemy countries to own any of our state. And that's a very powerful tool that we've got. We passed it in 2021, the first time, this past time, regarding lands, SB 17, Lois Kolkhorst. Thank you, Lois Kolkhorst, very much for your grit and your persistence in that. We got it done, but we got to make sure that they're not owning water. They're not owning critical infrastructure. They're not owning the things in Texas that could compromise our national security and our state security. And we have reason to believe that they do. And I will make sure that that is ended.
How far does that go as Attorney General? We know the cartels have bought, stash houses here. We know the Chinese have bought property, we've stopped them from doing that this last legislative session. But we know they're intricately tied into other countries that are our allies. So how far does that go as Attorney General? Do we have to start banning people from Mexico or Canada from owning land because we know the Chinese have infiltrated Canada and the cartels are busy influencing Mexicans on the daily? How far does that go as Attorney General? Or is it just on the surface that, okay, China, you're bad, cartels, you're bad, but how deep in the weeds do we go to keep them from circumventing our laws to buy property?
So there's an enemy countries list. Now, the state maintains that, and this is something I made sure was in the law because there's also something called the CFIUS list. It's a federal list of enemy countries. And the thing that I was worried about and we were worried about is we get another bad president like Joe Biden in there and he wipes out that list and then there's nobody on it and there are no enemy countries. If we're relying on that, we're in a lot of trouble. So the thing that we did and made sure to add is that Texas can determine its own enemy countries list. And then that triggers the law. It also triggers something important that we passed this session. It's the ban on transnational repression. What that does is it makes it a crime to enforce Sharia law. So, for example, if someone is designated a terrorist organization and they try to enforce Sharia law, that's a second-degree felony. That's a very high level of criminal penalty. That's something we got done this past year. But it triggers a lot of other things in the law that are important to hold them accountable once you designate them in the state of Texas with consulting with DPS, Department of Public Safety, as an enemy country. And these are the tools that we have to combat them and defeat them.
A couple of questions from listeners or viewers. Andy Rokovich asks, how would you enforce the treaty with Mexico regarding Rio Grande water rights?
Oh, they're definitely violating it. Lake Amistad, you know, I don't know how often y'all been out
full
there,
of water.
but it's in pitiful shape. Yeah, it is in pitiful shape because they're stopping, obviously, the river from essentially holding the water back in Mexico. They're not honoring their contract. They're not honoring their agreement. They've got to. It's penalizing farmers. It's penalizing communities up and down the Rio Grande. And I will make sure that that contract is enforced. They breached it. They're in violation. It is really that simple. And look, this is the same country that flooded us with the illegal immigrants. And it is also why I've been fighting to end all taxpayer benefits to illegal immigrants. Top
Amen.
on that list, one of the things that I fought for this past session was ending in-state tuition for illegal immigrants. We were subsidizing illegal immigrant tuition at our public universities. And it was not just doing that, it was taking seats away from citizens, right? Because they're filling up the seats. That's something that's not available to students in Victoria, for example. But more than that, even, we got to turn these magnets off. We've got to end birthright citizenship. I pray that we win that before the Supreme Court. I feel that we will. But it is another magnet that is drawing illegal immigrants here to Texas. And even the other day, I don't know if you saw this in the news, we have reason to believe that Communist China is actually recruiting moms in Texas. So they're going to apartment complexes and other places to recruit surrogates. They fly them to places like Guam, have a child by surrogacy, take the baby back to mainland China. Does that sound like it's in our favor? Our national security interests? I don't think so. So it is a national security issue as well.
Well, there's a lot of birth tourism going on, not in Texas. I mean, it's and other states as well. How does the Attorney General's office? How does that birthright citizenship issue impact the Attorney General's office? Obviously, it's a federal issue as far as naturalization and citizenship. So at this point, until something's done, are you just wasting time as Attorney General by discussing it and talking about it, since there's really nothing you could do?
Well, no, look, it's hugely impactful because this decision will come down soon. And one of the things I fought for is the state's deportation law, right? We won that the other day before the Fifth Circuit, is SB 4. And it allows the state of Texas to charge illegal immigrants with illegal entry and return them to country of origin, right? So, you know, no birthright citizenship means you're here illegally. It's also why I believe we've got to get rid of H-1B visas as well, right? So if you've overstayed your visa, you're here illegally. Or if the visa that you're here right now for is abolished, you're here illegally and you have to go back to country of origin, be deported. It is that simple. Look, we got to back up ICE. We got to back up President Trump. We've got to make sure that we put America first and we put Texas first, because we were overrun for 4 years down on the border. 4 years, millions of people came over. It is up to us to clean this up and keep our communities safe and make sure that we deport all illegal immigrants, not just some.
I agree.
Mays Middleton, Republican candidate for Texas Attorney General. Appreciate you taking time this morning to join us on the Wade and Carter Show. Really appreciate the insight.
We always like to offer our candidates the last word. Take a few minutes if you need to and just tell folks what they need to know. I know it's early voting is going on right now. If you want to make folks aware of some dates, feel free, and then we'll let you see yourself out. You can close this out. Mays Middleton, thank you for joining us.
Hey, I appreciate y'all having me on here today. Look, early voting is going on right now. It goes through Friday. Make sure to vote early this week, because Election Day is the day after Memorial Day. So you may be out of town. You may not be able to get back. So I would say you got to go vote before Friday. Friday's the last day, 22nd of early voting. Vote by Friday. Don't risk it, and wait till Tuesday, the 26th, on Election Day. Well, look, this is a choice here. This is a distinction between myself and Chip Roy. And Chip Roy is someone that has fought President Trump for nearly a decade, right? Where me, on the other hand, I've been backing up the president, making sure that we're going to use every resource and tool to put America first. And for 7 years in Texas, I've been fighting in office for our great state. And I want to make sure that Texas is the freest, the most Christian, the safest state in America to live and raise a family, where we defeat our enemies, both foreign and domestic, because they are coming for us. They know that if they take Texas, they take America. And it is up to us to protect and defend our great state. And I will never relent in that fight. And I think back to 1836, right? Battle of San Jacinto, not far from Victoria. It's actually over in LaPorte in my Senate district. They were outnumbered. They were outgunned. Everyone had just been killed at the Alamo, right? Everyone had just been slaughtered at Goliad. And yet, on that day, on April the 21st, they persisted. They persisted because that's what we do as Texans. That's the grit that is still inside each and every one of us. And more than that, the conviction. And the thing that they know, that I know everyone on this show knows, is that William B. Travis, right? That letter, victory or death. What did it say at the end? It said something very important. It said the Lord is on our side. You know what? The Lord is on our side in the great state of Texas. And that is how I know we will prevail in these fights. But I need your help. Election day is the 26th. Early voting ends May the 22nd. Make sure to go out and vote. Mays Middleton for Attorney General.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it.
Godspeed and good luck. Get after him. That was Mays Middleton, Attorney General candidate. You know, a steadfast Texan, hard to argue. I don't have anything personally against Chip Roy, but he makes a solid case that he's. And Jonathan Williams, wants you to know, buddy, we were not ignoring your question. He had addressed earlier in the conversation the 4,000 employees of the AG's office, the 750 attorneys, and how that being the AG is pretty much a management role, but that he's also been a practicing attorney for years, and he's just not a courtroom attorney. He seems like a solid gentleman.
Appreciate him taking time with
if
us.
nothing else. So there you have it. We Victoria, very fortunate. We had his competition was here last night. Chip Roy apparently made a good showing.
Trying to get him on the show this week as well.
That's right. We give everybody a free shot. It's an open forum. Did he say anything to you? You know, Jonathan Williams says, we asked a question about water and it turned into a story about illegal immigration. Here's the deal. I've always heard it said, if you've got the law on your side, argue the law. If you have the facts on your side, argue the facts. If you have neither, just muddy the water. That's what you do. And in this case, he may be telling you that the AG doesn't have a lot of control to solve the water problem. He's a state senator at the moment. He's no doubt been beat about the head and shoulders with the water problem. It's also worth noting that that's the same background that Ken Paxton came from, right? He was a state senator before becoming AG.
Yeah, and an attorney as well.
So there you go.
But no, I thought he kind of avoided the answer to that question.
Yeah. What would you think would be a satisfactory answer for a guy that's running for attorney general?
Well, I asked him how would he would enforce the treaty, and all he said was he would enforce the treaty. He didn't say how, and the question was how would he enforce it?
Well, it may involve some deer blinds and some 30-06, 30-7, whatever it takes.
To know that.
Ryan Hopping, thank you,
Good
sir.
morning, sir.
He applauds the
feeling better.
conversation. Yeah, we do hope you're feeling better. Great guy. Let's take a break and thank our number of fantastic sponsors that make this possible. Folks, the Chopping Block tomorrow, Wacky Wing Wednesday. Get in today for beef, chicken, wrapped vegetables. Put bacon on anything over there. Carrots, bacon. Jalapenos, bacon.
We've got some great asparagus, bacon wrapped asparagus.
Bacon.
See what else they got going
Get over there.
I do want to say this. I got to give a shout out to John's son, Bernard. He went and won like the World Junior Barbecue Championship cook-off.
Wow.
Yeah. Was 2026 grand champion.
That's awesome.
This past weekend at the World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest. So there you go. Second time they've done the kids one, and he walked away with the championship. And John says it's all him.
That's
I don't-
awesome.
I just give him the meat and it's all on him. So there you go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
USA Concrete Coatings, USA Foundation Repair. Same company, same number, 578 Home. If you need cracks leveled, sealed in your driveways, if you need a polyurethane coat on your driveway or garage floor, if you need to turn a carpeted room into a craft room and you want to put down a pebbled surface for traction and to make sure that things don't get in the carpet,
Yeah. So when you dump the box of needles or
They
pins,
can do
they
that
don't
for
stick in
you.
your feet.
they also can level your home. USA Foundation Repair. Veracruz Restaurant, the best queso, hot sauce, chips, salsa, guacamole
Pre-called on Wednesday,
in the
Tuesday.
town. Get by and get it. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen's your go-to toe-to. Put it in your phone, AAAA Allen's. It'll always pop up when you need them, and you'll need them someday, and they'll be there. Chesnick and Love, make your house a home. Get by and see why you just always do better at
Yep.
Chesnick.
I talked to Bobby Leon. He's always there.
He's
And
always
he'll
there,
Cut you a good deal.
and he will also make sure you get your furniture delivered. If you're like going, you know what, we've got a big party Saturday, and we've been putting off buying that new dining room table, he'll help you get it and get it installed in your home this week. Went Services, Went for all your generator needs. Aaron Went, Pam Went, family business, Generac, American-made generators, turnkey Texas service. Reach out to Went Services for all your electrical needs. Par Vita Wellness and the Vita Cafe, inviting you in. Vita Cafe is set. Par Vita opening up some new menu items.
Yeah.
Get by and get healthy.
And don't forget, if you're, you can use your HSA and FSA accounts at Paravita as well for to buy your meals if you're on a medically restricted diet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep, stretch your
You
dollars.
can buy it with tax deferred dollars.
Yep.
Brand Us, Commander Cody can help you with a web presence, with a brand enhancement. He can help you monetize your website. If it involves the internet and your computer, call Brand Us. Find them on Facebook. And then Palace Bingo, tomorrow night, the 20th. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Get into Palace Bingo, play some games, have some fun. Palace Bingo will make it. What is that? 16,000 miles? What? Oh, 167,000.
we're
Still
not-
a
yeah,
great
I don't
deal.
know. Yeah.
Maybe not the truck of
Not
the
the
week.
one we're gonna. No, but this one might be though. I think
Palace Bingo tomorrow night. Come join us.
this will be my used vehicle of the week.
A
Let me get this one up.
2021 Chevy Silverado pickup,
I think it's Colorado.
Colorado.
Yeah. So the smaller version.
Still, look at that.
Yeah. No, nice looking truck.
It's shiny.
Just over 100,000 miles. Good for another 150.
$20,700.
You're looking for a smaller truck that's fuel efficient but can still haul things. The Chevy Colorado is great for kids going off to college. You don't have to pack up your SUV. You can load it all in the back of that.
It's funny
Pick
how
a truck
quick
and
you
send them away.
forget. We could throw all that stuff in the back of a truck, put a tarp over it, and get Junior off to college.
Yep. Now you can just put it all in the back and send Junior off on his own. You don't
That's
even
right.
have to go.
It's great. Just bye. See you. Take your plate.
Yeah. So stop by Atznover, see Dinah or any of the other salespeople over there. And
Great folks,
yeah.
friendly folks. You won't meet a
Absolutely.
stranger at Atzenhofer. If you walk in, you'll understand why they've been in business for over 100 years.
no. Peace, Charles, Bobby Leister, and Scott Snow were on the podium this morning. Did not mention that off the
Great
top.
guys. Great to see everybody here.
So
We're very blessed and do not take for granted that you all come in every day. It means a lot.
primary day today in Alabama, Georgia, Idaho, Kentucky, Oregon, Pennsylvania. We'll see what happens with Thomas Massey in Kentucky. That's
Is that
a big one.
CNN?
That's CNN. this
Yeah, here's
morning,
why. I'll read the comment. One of the biggest storylines will be President Trump's ongoing revenge campaign
It is in a way,
against
isn't it?
Republicans who have opposed him. I think he's just trying to ferret out the weaklings in the party. That's what I think he's doing.
I wouldn't refer to Thomas Massey as a weakling in the party. I think he's a guy who stands up.
He did
against
stand on
things
his own, didn't he?
and against things he doesn't see as right, and he tends to represent his voters. So we'll see what
Voted
happens.
against the Donald after January 6th. Maybe a popular move with his people, but it's now been shown to be an incorrect move.
I think it goes back to, or I think it's because he opposed what's going on in Iran.
Do you?
Um,
As do you. We don't agree on this.
nope.
I've made the statement all along that unless Iran comes forward and presents their uranium to the U.S., that our objective in Iran has not been met. I don't think that you can leave Iran now with the quote unquote, I call it the Obama promise. Well, we're not going to enrich it any further. We don't want to own a nuclear weapon. That's a lie. That's a lie. They lied to you, and you can trust terrorists to be terrorists. It may not be comfortable. It may be expensive. It may be that it's gone on 2.5 months, and that's too long for you. But at the end of the day, if you want the Middle East to have any chance at any type of lasting peace, and if you want, just the other day, Iran decided through one of its proxies to launch a drone strike against a nuclear power plant in the UAE. If that's okay with you, then we should bring everybody home.
Well, but that's part of the problem is they've been doing this all along, and we haven't gone after those proxies aside from Hamas in Gaza.
By the way, the Jews are going after them.
We've let the Syrians do what
fervence.
they do. You know, I mean, that's so that there. I don't know that you stop that. Even if you neuter Iran, I don't know that you stop them using others as proxy for proxy wars, because we're not going after the Syrians and everybody else who does this.
So I don't know when, if you've got an ongoing, like we're not just trying to wrap this up by July. If you've got an ongoing issue, when do you say now is as good a time as any to eliminate this threat? Or do you say, as some would, well, it's always going to be this way, so we might as well just, just let it go. We tried. I just don't agree. To date, we've had 13 casualties in the war, 13. Less than one a week since the war began. And at the end of the day, 6 of those folks died on one aircraft in a refueling incident that wasn't even related to the war itself. So it's not like they got shot down by a surface-to-air missile.
No.
I think that you have made a stand. You have a president who can't run for re-election. I think you just let him stay the course and you eliminate this problem by whatever means necessary. Yesterday, Donald Trump making public that he had plans to begin anew the bombing of Iran. And he was urged by the Saudis, the UAE, and Qatar to not do so yet, and that he listened to them.
And apparently he's listening to others who are close to him who have told him to back off of the idea of just dropping SEAL teams into Iran to get the uranium, because it's not as easy as nabbing Maduro in Venezuela, and there's some concern that he thinks it is.
And it really may not be that easy. However, I don't have any doubt that with a minimal deployment of troops, you could go in and secure the uranium. I've heard twice now on national pre-scripted news shows where the administration is seeking a commitment by Iran to not develop a nuclear weapon. That sounds like something Obama made up. Oh yeah, I've got their commitment. They're not going to do it, which of course they were doing it. They were doing it at the time that Trump bombed their mountain lab. If you've got to do it 75 feet below the surface, you're probably trying to hide it from somebody.
Absolutely.
I don't like war. I don't want any of my children to go and die, but I don't have any problem with death from above. I would just bomb the heck out of them until they gave in. Their theocracy, it's us and God against the bad people from the West. They can't go to their people and say, we lost this one. Because if they lose the war, they lose the people.
Well, I think there's some waffling because they're 4 layers deep into the leadership of that country now because they've killed the first 3. And I think there's some waffling because as you get further down, those people that died didn't think they were going to die.
Right.
And the next layer, they were the next ones up. I don't think they thought, wow, they were unfortunate, but I don't. Then you start getting 4 layers in, and these people don't want to die.
They're running out of virgins.
They're the leadership. They live in splendor and riches
Opulence.
as opposed to squalor like most of the people.
That's right.
Or those that they recruit for their campaigns against the West and in the name of the mighty Allah, right?
That's right.
And so I think they're getting to a point where they don't want to die, but I don't think they're taking the negotiations serious enough because they seem to be sticking to their 15-point plan or whatever it is, and they refuse to give up their uranium. And that'll be the ultimate sticking point on this one until they give it up.
That's their idea. And their idea is that by having the uranium and having the possibility of developing a nuclear weapon or being able to sell that uranium to another country, that gives them an immense amount of power in the Middle East. And that alone is a good reason to eradicate that threat. I've got no problem at all with just bombing the hell out of them until they're either all gone or the last one comes out and goes, okay, here, take it.
Yeah.
I got no problem with it. Now, I'm glad that our young men and women aren't dying on their battlefields. But, Americans have got to get a little bit more of a stomach. I promise you, the threat of the radical Muslim terrorists, not all Islamic folks, not all terrorists even, but the radical Muslim terrorist, the guy that wants to die as a means to doing something and believes that it makes him closer to God, that guy's a bigger threat to the United States than Adolf Hitler ever was. Ever. Those people need to go.
Concur.
There you go.
Now, do you basically abandon or leave the Middle East at the end of this if it ends the way we hope it does and Iran gives up their uranium and the radical Islamists that run that country are out of power, and
I think the
they can install
Saudis
some sort
and
of
the other
democracy?
folks that are over there, you've already got the UAE pulling out of OPEC. I mean, I think you're going to see a natural.
That's bigger news than most people.
Oh, it's huge news.
Yeah.
They're the number 3 producer of petro in the world, and they decided we're out of OPEC.
Yeah.
Takes away a lot of the clout.
Yeah.
And they're working, according to the president, directly with the president. The Saudis, UAE, Qatar are all visiting with the hey, please hold off, because if you don't have to bomb their power plants and things, when this is over, we can go back in and restructure and make it a decent place. The people don't deserve to die. The leadership should be eradicated.
I agree.
Can we have another falafel house?
We probably could.
What was the other one? Falafel house.
Yeah, what was the other? International.
The Ayatollah hop.
Yeah,
An Ayatollah hop.
A little closer to home, Jeep weekend, the fallout from that, 110 arrests, 75
That's
were
nothing.
misdemeanors.
There were 100,000
Yeah.
people there.
28 were felonies, 8 arrest
was that
warrants.
weed possession, you
I
think?
don't know. One guy arrested after he needed to be there so badly he cut off his ankle monitor to get to Jeep weekend.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
But see, that doesn't happen. Bronco Raptor owners, nah. The price point keeps the riffraff out.
Absolutely. They reduced 500 extra troops instead of the 700 that went in there last year, and it resulted in 110 arrests, which not
What
really.
they don't tell you is how much money the county made off that.
1,500 traffic
Look, are there
stops
2 pictures there?
and no injuries.
Look at that. There's like a normal day on the beach, and there's the same beach under Jeep Week.
I guess I could share this real quick just to show you what it looks like. Hopefully, I
Well,
can get that on there.
Folks, we have reached the top of the hour. Ash is going to show
There
you
we
this
go.
picture, and then we've got to get.
There it is.
Look at that.
That's
That's
click2houston.com. There you go.
Hey, we love you guys. Special thanks to MAGA Mays Middleton for joining us this morning. No matter how you feel, him, Chip Roy, whoever, I apologize for misstating Aaron Reitz. It is Reitz. I just say it wrong. Please get out and vote. These are important races. Vote your conscience.
Yeah, early voting ends Friday. Very easy at the Patty Dodson. There's nobody in line.
Friday, we're going to have a guy come in and talk to us about property taxes. He's sharp.
Yeah.
Prepare your questions. Love you guys. Have a great day.
Bye, folks.
Bye, folks.